Today is the 26th of September, and 80 years ago today, Bremen, Germany, is where the crew of the Five Grand, or known as the crew of the Five Grand, conducted their next bombing mission. As we had mentioned before, and as you can see, all of their missions now are going to be taking them into Germany. So I have a few fun artifacts to share with you from that time period. One of them, a little bit hard to see within the screen, is a part of a kit that they would give to pilots and co-pilots, flight crews, for survival should their plane crash. This is the machete, and it was actually foldable. You'd be able to depress this button, and this blade would fold into the stock. It's pretty stuck right now and bent. I don't know that I could get it to fold properly. I'd probably need to work that a little bit, but this was a foldable machete from its time. Another fun little thing to share with you is, as they were always a risk of being shot down, they were given things like lists of phrases. And this one shows English, French. They also had English, French, Dutch, and most importantly, phrases in German, where you can learn the English side, the German side. They even had Spanish as well. So they kind of mass produce these, sent these out, especially for flight crews and really anyone. But should they have been shot down, they needed to use these to help with very basic translations. Also with this, they were given very specific instructions on what to do if they were captured. So this was dated 16 May 1944. I didn't catch the date on this one, but both of them are for soldiers to have with them. This one specifically, so instructions for officers and men of the Army Air Force in the event of capture or landing in a neutral country. And they talk a lot about, both of them do, they talk about if you should be captured, these are your rights. These are the rights based upon the Geneva Convention from back in 1929. And really fascinating little documents that kind of paint out this idea of an ideal way of being handled as a prisoner in war. And we all know that's not always the case. That's not the way things really happen. But it was interesting that these were listed as expected rights of captured enemy combatants and what to expect if you yourself were captured. So fun little pieces of history. All right, today we are in Bremen, Germany. So they're flying out of England in this general area, flying all the way over here to Bremen. And their flight path, they went up over this portion of the North Sea, and then they dropped down in through the inlet over into Bremen. I'm going to read to you again the account of Sergeant McBride, who was primarily the waist gunner of the crew known as the crew of the Five Grand. This is a little bit of a longer one today. The CQ, that was usually the headquarters element, someone who was on duty over the night, staff duty. The CQ got us all up at 7:15 a.m. for 8:30 briefing. At the briefing, we discovered our target was to be a tank factory in the southern-eastern section of Bremen. We took off at noon with me in the tail, Boyce in the waist, Tony in the radio room, and Red on the flight deck. We took a few hours to assemble, and at last we started out over the North Sea for Germany. When we were above the inlet to Bremen, we turned in overland to begin our bomb run. The flak started coming as we drew near to the city, and some of it was certainly too close for comfort. None of it hit us as we went over the target, dropped our load of incendiary bombs. Those are very high flammable bombs, and then turned off the target. Soon after leaving the target area, we happened to notice a B-17 in another formation off our left wing that had a thin trail of gray smoke coming out of its right inboard engine. As we were discussing the smoke over interphone, An explosion broke and the right wing in two. An explosion broke the right wing in two, there we go, and flipped the plane on its side, causing it to go into a spin. It exploded again, this time sending pieces in all directions across the sky. So I want to paint a little bit of a picture for you of this. I do have original photos from my grandfather. I don't know if he took them or another member of the crew, of different planes that were shot down. Here's one of those planes being shot down during the bomber, and you can see this plane's dropping its bombs. This one has flames and smoke coming out of it, it's crashing down. This isn't that plane though. Here's one that was collected by my grandfather for his list of things from a newspaper article. Now, I don't believe this is the exact same plane. Excuse me. I don't believe this is the exact same plane because of the description. There's no date to this, but the description of the article refers to this one being hit by the Luftwaffe, which was the German Air Corps of pilots for the German planes. This is not likely the same plane, but it does paint that picture. See how the engine in this one, actually this one had total separation, but it was likely started from an explosion. And, see the title, No Milk Run Here. It was not an easy mission. The plane had this catastrophic failure. All right, back to where we were. Exploded again, this time sending pieces in all directions across the sky. The right wingtip, which was on fire, went spinning down in slow circles. The entire tail section had been separated from the plane and went floating down in a lazy glide, which caused it to drift from side to side. Only 2 parachutes were observed to open, one landing in the water, while the other managed to strike land along the coast of Germany. It had been a beautiful sight, but so tragic to witness. 4 Me-410s were reported to have hit the formation behind us, but we didn't see any sign of them ourselves. The temperature was -40 at 26,000 feet, which made all of us slightly cool during the flight. The tail windows frosted up and 2 guns froze so stiff that they could not be fired. We were deputy lead and almost became lead when the leader had engine trouble, but it cleared up, so he continued to lead. Our plane had its hydraulic system shot away, so it ran off the far end of the runway when we landed back at the base. No one on that plane was hurt, since the B-17 merely tore through the hedge and stopped in the middle of the field. So they literally had no hydraulic brakes. They had to just roll to a stop. We found a flak hole in the top of the plane just in front of the upper turret. A piece must have come from a shell that exploded above and in front of our plane, gone through the skin of the ship, and been stopped by the green cloth lining inside. We were never able to find the piece, even after a very thorough search. So yeah, that was a very unique mission for them. Witnessing one of their fellow crews getting shot down. I'm sure they may have even known the guys that were on that plane. Definitely affected him quite a bit, given the way he described the entire event. Okay, now our next mission won't happen until October. It'll be October 3rd, 1944, Nuremberg, Germany. So on October 3rd, you'll get our next update.